The topic this week is artifacts that help us work with data. We've looked at variables to store values that we can change over time, constants to store values that don't change. We're going to have a look now at functions and how we can use functions to calculate a value. A function is just like a procedure, but the difference is a function is used to calculate a value or to work out some value in some way. So when we call a function, we can pass it data into its parameters. We can also get back a result from that call. So it's like you pass it some information, here is the data that I want you to have. And then when it finishes, it says, well, here's your answer. Based on the information you told me, this is the value that I calculated. And so we use it within expressions. That means that the expressions that we create can include functions as part of the actual expression itself. Now here we've got a visual example using the sine function. We might pass the sine function, so there's the open bracket there. We might pass the sine function a number of degrees multiplied by pi divided by 180 in order to calculate and ask the sine function to calculate the value based on this parameter's value. Once it has that value, it will then perform the necessary calculation to work out the answer, and it will give us back the result. What is the sine of that degree or that value? Function calls are basically just like procedure calls. You have the name of the function and then the arguments in brackets. A procedure call is just a function call. The difference is we use a procedure call as a statement, whereas a function call is used within an expression. All right, what we're going to do now is have a look at task 2.1 again. We can read in the user's name. We can use readline to do that, and we've got a few functions, other functions that we can use. So readline is a function in SplashKit. When you call it, it reads a value from the user and returns it as a string. Convert to integer is a function that takes a string and gives you back the whole number that's embedded within that string. Convert to double does the same thing, but gives you back a real number rather than a whole number, assuming that's what the user entered. So let's have a go at reading in the user's name and their age. All right, so here we have the user's name, and at the moment we're just assigning it the value Fred. So we're always assuming that the name of the person is Fred. What we really want to do here is ask the user to enter their name. We can do this by challenging the user with the question, what is your name? We can then, using an assignment statement, which if you remember is the variable first, so we're going to store the value in age, good one Andrew, in name, we're going to store the value in name, the equals, to say store, this is an assignment statement, store this value in name. And what value do I want? I want the value that is returned from the readline function call. So here, readline is a function. This function takes no arguments. I don't need to give it anything. It will then wait for the user to type some text at the terminal, and it will then put all of that text into a string that it returns. So it gives us back a string, and so this becomes equal to whatever text they type in at the terminal. So if I typed the text Fred, this would become the string Fred, and Fred would then be stored in the name. Let's save my program using the shortcut key, come back here, compile my program, and run it. Oh, look, I've arrived at the bridge. What is your name? And we can see, based on the name that I type in, this line of code, or this line of input, the SplashKit code waited for me to type the whole line. When I hit the enter or the return, that text became the line that was returned by readline, and it was then stored in the name. And so we can print out Sir Robin as my name. Bravely bold, Sir Robin. All right. Cool. We can do the same thing for age. So here we go. Oh, sorry, not that. What is your age? That's what I have to ask. Okay. And we can do here then. Now, problem is I can't do age equals read line. If we do that, let's have a go. Let's see what happens here. Well, first of all, I can see I've got a problem. I don't even need to try to compile it. It's telling me no suitable conversion function from standard string to int exists. Oh, what's the compiler trying to tell me? Let's compile this and see what it says. So we can see here it's saying assigning to int from incompatible type string. All right, let's decode that. What is it saying? It's saying, well, I'm doing an assignment statement and I'm trying to assign to an int. So I have to give this variable, the age variable, an integer. But I've given it an incompatible type. I've given it a string. And it's like, look, here, Andrew, read line gives you a string, and age is an integer. I can't put a string in an integer. What are you doing? All right, let's fix this up. In order to do this, I'm going to need to remember the text that the user enters. Why don't I just create a variable called line. That describes what I'm storing in this. It's the line of text the user entered. I can then say that age equals, and using the convert to integer function, now this does take a string. I can pass in the line. All right, let's save that. Convert to integer takes this string, converts it to an integer, and then the whole function call becomes equal to that integer's value. All right, let's give this a try. If I compile it now, that looks much better. And if we run it, what is your name? I'll just do Andrew this time. What is your age? An integer value, and there we go. So I've entered my name, I've entered my age, and we've worked out the airspeed velocity of an unladen African swallow. All right. Cool. We could do the same thing with convert to double. Obviously, in that case, if I wanted to read a value into a variable that had a double, then I would use convert to double instead of convert to integer at that point. What you need to do now is go ahead and update your program. So change it so that it allows the user to enter the details of the airspeed velocity to calculate. And test it out with the airspeed velocity of a European swallow. The details are here. Remember, it's important to know the difference between the airspeed velocity of an African or European swallow. You never know when this information is going to become handy. So here, instead of assigning this the value 15, read it from the user. Here, instead of assigning it the value 0.21, read the value from the user as well. You should be able to reuse the line variable. It already exists. Good luck with that, and I look forward to seeing your solutions soon.